Hello, everybody. This week I have Alice on the podcast with me, and she and I met on, as we call it, the floating floor at Burn Boot Camp, where we both work out. We've been following each other online since I interviewed our burn owner in episode 67, which I'll link in the show notes. But what I've come to find out is that Alice loves to host, and I know we're going to have a great discussion today about parties. I'm looking forward to it. So, Alice, thanks for being here. We normally don't talk much in the gym because it's like 5 or 6 in the morning and we're usually
Yeah.
like half asleep or exhausted and trying to get in and out. So I'm excited to like actually talk to you today.
Yeah, that'll be
Awesome.
good.
It should be good. So just like looking through some of the stuff on your Instagram and like our pre-interview stuff, like I know you grew up in the Midwest and have lived here like most of your life. And like, did you grow up hosting? Why do you think you love hosting so much?
I don't know that I grew up hosting, so we did move around a little bit. But my family's now in St. Louis, and my mom has hosted. So my sister is 7 years older and married someone that is one of four, and she has hosted either an engagement party or baby shower for like each of my sister-in-laws.
Yeah.
And so I've watched her and my sister do these parties, and then I feel like over time just kind of started liking to do it too.
That's great. Do you like, I come from a super small family. My husband has a really big family. Like, do you have a preference? It sounds like you're kind of like from a little bit smaller, but you like have been around like the bigger family situation. Like, I
Yeah.
thought I knew what I liked, and then I did something like married into something else, and I'm like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just my sister and me, and then my husband is just his brother and him. So we come from small families. My sister's husband comes from a big family, and I feel like that is fun to see because they're close and they're for the most part all in St. Louis. I mean, cousins have started to move away, but we're all grew up together, and that's really fun to see that. So like I never minded just having my sister and me, but I think it's fun now. I have three kids, she has three kids, so it's like fun to see all the cousins together.
Yeah, for sure. How often are you like crossing the state from St. Louis to Kansas City to like spend time together?
It's not as much as it used to be. We probably see each other once every 3 to 4 months. I mean, they were just here because it was my son's birthday, and our boys are 6 months apart. That bridges the gap with the cousins, because her kids are older. And then everyone's coming for Thanksgiving and Judy's first birthday. So I would say every few months we get to see them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we're kind of in that same situation. Our families are like, we live here in Kansas City, like you, and then our family is like 3 to 4 hours away. And I feel like there are phases where it's like several times a month, and you're like, whoa, this is a lot. And then we go like on a drought where we don't see
Yeah.
anybody for like 3 or 4 months, and then kind of does it again. So I'm sure we're going to start picking it up here over the holidays to like see everybody. So
Mhm.
yeah. Um, so I know that you spend like a lot of time, your family's in St. Louis, it sounds like, so not super close, but I know you spend a lot of time and surround yourself with like your coworkers and people that have become friends from work. How did you deepen those connections with your coworkers to like want to hang out outside of work? Because that's not the case for everybody a lot of times, I feel like.
Yeah, it's not the case for everyone. Well, I started and I'm still there at Cerner. And so when you start there, right out of college, like you start with 30 to 40 people that are roughly right out of college, or maybe this is their second job. So, we're all within that like 22, 26 age range. And you have money for the first time. So I feel like Cerner had a culture of like being friends outside of work. And then over the years, I mean, I met my husband at Cerner. A lot of our friends were couples that were Cerner people. So it just kind of naturally progresses. And then when you travel, you're on the road with these people to dinner, you have drinks. So like that just over time deepens those relationships.
Yeah, that's kind of cool though, that it's like almost like a cohort of like we all started together and then you kind of like grow up together in the company. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I feel like the
Mhm.
military is very similar though, because there is kind of a cycle of like after graduation and commissioning, like there's usually like not a rush, but like a few new people all at the same time. And it's like, oh, we all got here together. We got to like band together and stick together
Yeah.
because this is totally new territory.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
kind of the same idea.
yeah. And then when you're traveling, like how often do you travel for work? Is that
So
less
I
now
don't
than it
travel
was?
anymore.
Yeah.
But when I first started, I was traveling pretty much every week
Oh,
or
wow.
3 out of 4 weeks of a month. And then at the end of a project, when the hospitals are going live or starting to use our software, then you're on site for like 12 to 14 hours a day, sitting in a room with the same people. So I used to travel a lot, and then with kids, slowly have stopped. And then I traveled a few times in like 2022, I think. That was my last like client facing project, but that was to Fayetteville, Arkansas. So like not super far.
Yeah. That's cool though. I mean, it definitely, like, I call a lot of the things we do in the military, like, they're legitimate trauma bonds. Like, you go through some crazy stuff together, but probably not as traumatic on like the corporate side, but like still just traveling with people, like you said, like having to like be in hotels around each other or like get drinks, dinner, whatever. It's almost, I don't know. I felt like in the reserve specifically, I tend to like travel with the same people. And I'm sure this is kind of
Yeah.
similar for you on the corporate side, but like we almost figure out like our gosh, what do you like not schedule, but like how we like to travel. And it's like
Yeah.
we know which people we want to do breakfast with, which people we want to do dinner with, which people just want to stay in their hotel room or whatever. Like it's, you kind of have your like,
You figure out the odds and ends of everybody. Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
it
funny.
for us, it changed over time. Like when we were younger, it was easier to go out and have dinner all the time. But then when you're like doing it every single week, you're like, some nights I just need to like go back and
Yeah,
not
for
go out
sure.
with a big group and have all the drinks and things. So it does,
Yeah.
it ebbs and flows, and you learn like the schedule, the routine on the road. It's a
Yeah.
road routine.
Road routine. That's what, yeah, that's the word I was looking for, routine. It's funny how that happens. But yeah, I find that, yeah, now I tend to, when I travel, I just want to hang out in the hotel room and like, I want to eat a takeout meal in bed without anybody like talking to me or interrupting me. And yeah,
Have
that's,
just like the quiet.
yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
no kidding. Okay. One thing that you do that I love and I always am like stalking your stories about is whenever you are hosting Chiefs watch parties because I think they look so cool. So I want to talk to you about them. So a watch party, I feel like, especially like it's football season now, the Chiefs are doing well. We have a lot to celebrate, so we can't really complain
Mhm.
too much. But with like watch parties for like a sporting event or something like that, I feel like it could be like routine, or like we just said, or just like the same thing every week, right? Like it's a football game. So like how are you making it like exciting or fun or different to get people to like still want to come, still want to like hang out and watch a football game together, even though they know like, oh, we're all gonna sit and like watch this football game.
Watch game.
Like that's
Yeah.
the like main draw. That's the same every week. So how are you like, I don't know, mixing up, or maybe you keep it all the same. I don't know.
Yeah, so we don't host a ton of watch parties during the season. Like it might be, I guess it kind of seems like I have this year, but like we did one for all of the kinder families. And so that group had not gotten together to watch a football game since this is my son's first year in elementary school. So we're like still getting to know those families. Um, and I pulled out our like Super Bowl, some of our Super Bowl decor. So it's been fun like this year to have them. And then my kids go to a Primrose, and we've become good friends with several of the teachers. So then like they came over with another family that goes to the same school. So like this year it's been different groups getting together. For the Super Bowl, that's like the Super Bowl is my Super Bowl for
Yeah.
Chiefs. So, when we were in it, I don't know, last year, 2 years ago, a couple years
It's like
ago,
been
I don't
every
know,
year,
one
I
of the
feel like.
ones.
So yeah.
Um, we got a life size Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey. So we've had them. And then last year we just brought them out for the playoffs. So once we got to the playoffs, then Patrick and Travis became staples in our home decor. And this year we added, my mom sent a life-size Taylor. So now we also have
Best.
Taylor Swift in the mix, and then I made a shirt, since I have a Cricket. So like I add a few pieces every year, and this one I feel like I went even more all out. I was never a big Swiftie, but like love seeing Travis with her. I think that's really fun. So like added in some Taylor Swift, like little snippets.
Yeah, that's so fun. I call myself a late bloomer Swiftie because I feel like when she was at like her heyday, I was like on a ship in the middle of the ocean and didn't really, I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention to anything happening outside of those 505 feet. Um, but when Midnights came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this album. And then I started like diving really deep and then like the whole her and Travis thing. So it just like intensified it. And now my
Yeah.
daughter and I are going to the Eras Tour next month. So I'm super excited for that.
Oh,
But
where's that one?
we're going to Toronto.
Okay,
So
very cool.
yeah, it's
I always want.
quite the splurge, but we're just
Yeah,
doing it. So why not?
yeah,
Well, I love what you said though about like it's kind of like the same party, but you're adding to it over time. So you have kind of that central theme. So it's not like as big of a financial investment or a space investment or whatever initially, but you can like kind of do it over time because you know that
mhm,
you're gonna like continue to watch the Chiefs as you live in Kansas
yeah,
City and like each year they're in the playoffs and each year they go to the Super Bowl. So you're just gonna
yeah,
like add to it over time. And I like the idea of like you mix up the group of people. I think that's really smart too, of like, not the same group of, I mean, and maybe people do have like the same group of five friends or whatever that they always watch football together, but like
yeah,
getting, people have different schedules and people are busy and stuff, but getting like different groups of people together and like you don't really have to change much on what you're doing, but then you're just changing the people
yeah,
that come. And so it's kind of feels like a new fresh party every time.
yeah. The Super Bowl, I will say, always seems to be like the same group. And we understand, like, as much as we'd love to have more people come, people are very superstitious
Mm,
about what they do and happen. So I'm like, you know what? That's fine. Like,
yeah.
come, that's great because you want them to win. And that's what we all want.
Yeah, that is funny. I feel like my brother-in-law is kind of like that. Like he wants to be in his house, in his living room, like
Yep.
pacing back and forth. He doesn't want to like go somewhere else for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
last year was really fun. How it worked out, Nate Bargatze was in town, and that's one of my husband and I love his stand-up. So my parents
Hmm.
had come into town to watch the kids, and that was going to be our first night out after having Judy. And then the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl, so my parents stayed and got
Nice.
to watch it. And because my dad grew up playing football and played for a small college, but played in college. So like they love watching the Chiefs. But I think it for them was a very different experience to watch it in Kansas City with all Chiefs fans.
Yeah, no kidding. So I grew up south of St. Louis when the Rams were there, and there for a little bit,
Oh
it was
yeah.
a big deal, and then they sucked forever. And then I moved away, and like I wouldn't say that we ever really had like a team. We would like watch football on Sundays because that's just kind of what you do, but we never really had like a team. And then we were in England, and then we moved to Kansas City, and within like a couple of weeks, that was like we were dealing with a lot of reverse culture shock, like coming back to the States, but then like coming back to Kansas City during football season when the Chiefs were doing really well, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole thing. Like
Yeah.
Red Fridays, you got to get the flags at
Yes.
McDonald's. You have to like everything revolves around the Chiefs schedule on Sundays. Like you can't plan anything if it interferes
Mhm.
with the game
Yeah.
time. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole thing. So yeah, I can see how it would be totally different for somebody not from here to like experience it here in Kansas City because
Yeah.
it's a whole thing.
It's a different, yeah, it's a lot.
It
But
is.
like Kansas City is that way as a whole because my sister's husband was born and raised in St. Louis, and he comes and jokes that like our city, we dress like tourists in our own city because everyone wears Kansas City things like the KC heart, the Chiefs, like he's like, it's everywhere. I'm like, yeah,
That is a really
it's,
interesting observation I hadn't really thought of. Like, yeah, everybody literally is just wearing like a Kansas City shirt all the
yeah,
time.
there is
I
a
told my
big love
husband,
for the city.
yeah, I told my husband the other day, I was like, I think I just need to get like a plain red and a plain blue. Like, we're Cardinals fans because we grew up in St. Louis. Like, they sucked.
Hmm.
They have been sucking, but like I will never not be a Cardinals fan, but when the Royals were
Yeah.
doing well this year, I was like, maybe I should just get like a plain blue shirt that just says Kansas City. But I'm like, now I feel like I need to have like the rainbow and they all are going to say Kansas City. Like, you just
Yeah.
have to support that way. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
We struggle with that too. My husband's a Cardinals fan. Since I moved a little bit, baseball was never something like I loved.
yeah,
So he's trying so hard for our kids to be Cardinals fans, and Raymond knows, but I'm like, he's also a Kansas City kid, like 100%.
yeah,
He's a Kansas City kid. So like the Royals thing is really tough on him.
yeah. That's tough for us. Just like having kids go to school and have to like wear Royal stuff or whatever. I'm like, well, I guess you're just wearing blue shirts, guys, because
Yeah.
that's all we can do. So
Yeah.
that's all right.
They finally
But
got Royal stuff this year.
oh, that's a big step. I don't think
Yeah.
we can do it.
And Raymond was pretty excited.
That's good. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. You kind of have to like, if they want to do it, you have to like kind of
Yeah.
give in to them. So,
Hmm.
so speaking of kids, you have small children. Raymond's like 6, right? And he's your oldest.
Just turned
So
6. Yep.
yeah, so you have 3 and they're all under 6, which is like a lot, and they're very young.
Yeah.
Uh, I know that like hosting parties or get-togethers when you have young kids can be difficult. I've done it quite a bit, but like, what are you doing to entertain them during a party? Like a football watch party or something like that is one thing, but that also doesn't hold their attention super long. So what are you doing to like entertain them? Are you doing anything
I mean, it kind
special?
of depends on what it is. Like we've had kids' birthday parties here, and so obviously like we'll have an activity or something, but we do a big July 4th party now, but not like right on July 4th, just around. But during that one, we have an inflatable water slide, so we pull that out. They have water balloons. Kids go in our basement, they'll come upstairs, so it's just kind of I've learned if you're gonna host and our kids are in the era of young children, you can't be uptight about your house. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be wild. And so we just kind of like let them roam. And then every so often a parent I feel like is going down in the basement and just making sure that it's okay. Because it's these right now it's a bunch of boys and they're all friends. So they can keep each other entertained for hours.
Yeah, that's a good point that typically if you have young kids, you're inviting other people with young kids and like they're going to entertain each other for sure. Yeah, and you can't like worry about your house getting destroyed. I had this conversation with my kids. They're 10 and 7, so a little bit older,
Yeah.
but very used to having a lot of kids in the house or a lot of people in the house just because that's how we've kind of always been. But I had this conversation with them on Friday because we're having people over after trunk or treat. And I said, like, listen, you guys are going to be upset tomorrow if I'm asking you to clean up, but you're going to enjoy having your friends there and
Yeah.
making a mess and stuff. So if there is something that you don't want them to get or don't want them to play with or pull out, then you need to go put it away now. And you can't get upset with me tomorrow when I ask you to help clean up. Like that's not our friend's responsibility. It's our house, it's our stuff. We have to clean it up, but you want to enjoy the time with them. So like, I don't know, it's just kind of
It's a tough one.
it
The
is,
next day or 2 days later, when you ask them to clean, we have like meltdowns, and I'm like, you
yeah.
didn't mind getting out the mess.
Right? No kidding. I think because our kids are a little bit older, like they're starting to get it. Like, but we also had a bunch of kids here that were like a lot younger than them too, and they have some like little kid stuff that they're like, yeah, the 2-year-old can play with that because I'm not playing with it anymore, so I don't care
Yeah.
if it gets destroyed. But yeah, it's interesting, and it's interesting how things shift over time as they get older too. Like they mostly were outside on the trampoline and like running around in the yard. They weren't like in the playroom with toys. So that is kind
Yeah.
of interesting how that kind of shifts over time too. But
Yeah, we did
um
that too with our one of our Chiefs watch parties. We were like, let's go outside and play. But it was like one day it was super hot and
yeah,
like the shade will finally hit the backyard, the grass. But once it did, then they were playing football and soccer. And I was like, this is perfect for you all.
yeah, no kidding. Like burn the energy, get it out.
Hmm.
So with young kids and like prepping for a party, I know getting ready for it, like people tend to think they have to like clean everything or like you're cooking a bunch or whatever you're doing. I know in the past I've kind of like essentially abandoned my family because I'm like I have to get ready for this party and I'm like
Yeah.
in a whirlwind getting things ready. Are you doing anything in particular to kind of like help yourself, help the kids, like whenever it is like the lead up to the party so that you don't have to like abandon
Yeah.
them?
So I do, if I can think ahead, depending on like what party it is, how big I want it to be, or like put the effort in. I try to coordinate our cleaners to come that week, like that Thursday or Friday, so the house like is clean that they are doing. And then my mom does always let me know I'm really lucky. I do none of our food. I don't
Oh,
cook at
great.
all. Tim does all of the food. So if it's a party, I am responsible for getting the house ready and I do the decorations and the planning of the event, but like any food stuff, it's him. So like that does help tag team a little bit. And then we have a couple of neighbors that are like pseudo grandparents to the kids, and sometimes we'll ask if she'll like take them for an hour to get them
Yeah.
out of the house, and then it's like a whirlwind to get everything done. Or we've started now doing quiet time because our older two share a room. I'm like, I don't care what you do, take a rest, don't sleep, read, play with each other, just don't come downstairs.
Yeah. That's great. That's great that they can listen. Those are such good ideas though, to like have a neighbor watch them or planning your cleaners around it. Super jealous that Tim does all of your cooking. Uh,
Yeah,
but I enjoy
very,
the
very
cooking
lucky.
part. So yeah. Um, but my husband and I do tag team a lot, and like he handles like everything outside and all the drinks. Like I never, most of the time I kind of forget about like having drinks because he's just like handled it. And this last Friday, he was out of town and it was just me and the kids, and we were having other families and their kids over. And I was like, I can't forget the drinks. I can't forget the drinks because like he's not here.
Yeah.
So I put my 7-year-old son, I was like, you are in charge of the drinks. I want you to get the cooler out there. I want you to put these drinks in it. And then like I'll bring the ice out or whatever. And I was like, he stepped up so much. I was like, this is amazing. And I don't know if it's just like I think a lot of it is like our kids like being around us and seeing us host a lot, that they kind of like get the hang of things and know that we have like how to kind of get ready for stuff. But I was just like, oh man, this is going to be great when you're just like a little bit older, and then we can have like 4 people actually like getting ready. This is going to be
Helping.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh my gosh. I was so proud of them on Friday because I really like stepped up and like did some stuff that I was
Yeah, that's
like my daughter
awesome.
was cleaning bathrooms, my son was like getting drinks ready, helping me start a fire. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. Um, like I said, like our kids see us hosting and stuff, and like they tend to like if we don't host for, months go by and we haven't had people over for anything, they're kind of like, when are we having a party? Like, why is
Yeah.
nobody here? Are your kids like used to having, get-togethers and people in your home? And like, what are your kind
Yep.
of hopes for them? What do you hope that teaches them moving forward?
So they are used to us either having people over or we meet people out for dinner a decent
Yeah.
amount. Like there's the Peanut at State Line, so we go there a lot with people because it's a relatively kid-friendly place. So like we'll pick them up from school and they're like, "So what are we doing tonight? Who's coming over? Are we
Yeah.
meeting someone?" Um, One downfall is that it has taught them that we always do things.
Yeah.
And so like it'll be a Sunday and by chance the Chiefs aren't playing, so we don't have plans, and they hate that. But I just hope that they remember memories of having people over,
Yeah.
and that the fact that we do have people over, since they are young, I'm like I hope they always want to be at our house.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a big like desire of me too. Like whenever they get older, that I mean, I feel like some people think teenagers sound scary. I think teenagers in a way sound kind of scary, but also like they can like carry on a more of a conversation with you, or like
Yeah.
not that they want to hang out with you, but just like I know the interactions will be a lot different. So like I'm really looking forward to when my kids are a little bit older and like all of their friends come and hang out and stuff. I
Yeah.
think that could be really cool. But yeah, it is tough. Like I said, like when we don't host, our kids are like, why are we not doing anything? But
Yeah.
they just kind of come to expect it. But I'd rather that than them expect like, I don't know, loneliness. I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, that's funny. Do you have any like in particular or like specific like easy party prepping tips that like help you get ready for things to go smoothly?
Um
I guess we kind of talked
Not,
about it. Like the cleaning
yeah.
thing, I think that was really smart.
Oh, and if we are doing food, so we do a lot of like the main dish for things, and then people bring appetizers or a side dish or dessert. So that kind of helps that we have the house, we'll have most of the drinks and then the main dish, and then they just bring something to share. So that makes it easier too. And then if there's any food that can be done ahead of time, Tim usually preps that during the week
Yeah.
so that the day of is a little bit smoother.
Yeah. Great. Great tips. Awesome. All right. Let's get into these last call questions that are kind of fun, rapid fire-ish. And the first one is, what is the best party that you've hosted?
We love Christmas. We do a Christmas one and it's evolved over the years, but we've learned a Sunday is a really fun time because a lot of people are free on Sundays in December. And so we do like a 4 o'clock. Um we have everyone ask if they'll donate $5. We order pizza, and then I have all the house decked out with Christmas decor. We do a Christmas drink. And the first year, the Grinch came because my son loves the Grinch and he loved him. No other kid did. They
Oh,
were
no.
like two. He was two and
Oh,
loved
jeez.
the Grinch. Like the Grinch is holding him,
Oh.
or maybe he was 3, and like he was so excited, and other kids were terrified. We've learned now that we have Santa come. That's a
Mm.
much bigger hit. So that one's just fun. Like everyone lets loose, and now our neighbors, we've other friends have come too, but like people have learned like we're relaxed. We want you to have a good time. So it's just a fun party, and we've already told people that we're like, put this date on your calendar because we didn't do it last year since Judy came at the end of November. I was like, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah,
So
no,
we're
that would be
ready.
way too much.
Yeah, that one's it's
Um,
just a fun one. And it's like wear pajamas, wear tacky Christmas, like whatever you want, just come and hang out and have a good time.
I love that, especially around the holidays. I feel like they're like the schedule gets crazy. So I think like
Mhm.
if you found a time that works, that's awesome. But also
Yeah.
people, most of the things you have to like get fancy and dressed up for. So I think it's really cool to do something like casual. That's would
Yeah.
be much more enticing to like come
Hmm.
to if it's like, oh, I don't have
Yeah.
to get like all glitzed up because it's the holidays. Like I can come in pajamas.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Very cool. Okay. What is the best community that you've been a part of and what's made it so great?
Right now, I mean, that one's kind of hard for me. But I feel like it's our community here. It is hard not having family. Like I've realized when some like Tim is sick and now with 3 kids, but like we have amazing friends here that have become family. So like we really rely on helping. We went to a wedding 2 weekends ago, and my best friend who has 3 children kept our 3 kids overnight for us. So like
Wow.
we have just built amazing friendships. And as Raymond gets into kindergarten, the elementary kids families we've made, sorry, my dog is right here.
That's okay.
They have it's been like fast friends. The adults love each other. So like really Kansas City has been amazing for us.
That's great. I mean, when your family's not around, you have to like your friends have to become your family because who
Yeah.
else can you call when you have to go out
I
of
mean,
town
we've
or
had
somebody's sick or
instances where like when Cindy was a month old, she was in the hospital. Another friend kept Raymond overnight for us. Somebody else took our dog. So like we do, and like we will reciprocate anything. But yeah, I mean, they've
yeah, that's
become
awesome.
family.
That's great. Okay. And then what is your best party hosting tip?
Thank you. Once the party starts, like you have to relax. I know
Hmm.
you've stressed out, you've gotten the house ready, you've done everything. And so I feel like sometimes it's easy to maintain, like, still be kind of wound up, but like just relax. You've brought everyone together, have fun, and worry about the mess later.
Yeah, great tips. Those are so true. Sometimes I enjoy the like the prep and the stress getting ready more than the parties. I have to remind myself, like, actually enjoy the people that you've
Yeah.
like made all this for. So
Yeah.
yeah, good reminders. Alice, this is so fun. It was great getting to know you a little bit better. And I know if anybody's got some party stuff coming up, they'll take a lot of value out of what you said as far as like kind of how to make it a little bit easier, how to do it with kids, and how to celebrate any sort of sporting event, essentially. So thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome.